Mics are live. Camera is live.
All right, here we go.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
By X Insurance. X Insurance. From the Sig Sauer Studios. On the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, welcome inside Armed American Radio's Sig Sauer Studios for Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. And it's all brought to you, and this is on the Patriot Mobile microphone, and it's all being brought to you by the Great X Insurance. Greg's not here today, so I'm going to do the introduction. If you want to watch us out on social media, you can catch us at Facebook at at X, formerly known as Twitter, at AARmark, at AARmark. And in addition to that, you can watch us at Facebook.com, at Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. You can catch us on YouTube, Armed American Radio live streaming for you. And you can also catch us over on Rumble, also Armed American Radio. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Guest lineup today is going to be Dave Workman and Danielle Buck from Patriot Mobile. And as we await that call, I've got a couple things I want to talk with you about here because, there's good news going on out there on the gun front. So I want to start with Virginia. And I love when I see this stuff. Youngkin in Virginia. Virginia Democrats fail to override Youngkin vetoes in effort to push gun control. I think the big overriding factor here, ladies and gentlemen, is as we've told you at the outset when we went back to Trump's election in November, that the federal gun control push for the anti-gunners is, well, dare I say, toast. Because it is. They're not going to get anything moved. Trump ran the single most pro-gun campaign that I've ever seen. And while things aren't happening quite as fast as we'd like to see them happen, good things are, in fact, stacking up. It's just not stacking up as fast as we'd like. And we all know that Washington doesn't turn on a dime. It's going to take a little bit of time for some of this to happen. And the point that I'm making is that we told you back in November, on November 6th, the push is now going to move to the states. And it is. Virginia, strange state. Always has been. Hard to figure out their off-year elections. Hard to figure out what's going on, except for the fact it's really not, because you have Northern Virginia and the rest of the state bright red. Like the country county map, Virginia fits the same. If you look at a county map of state of Virginia, it's bright red, except up there by Washington, D.C., and the usual suspects, Richmond, maybe a little blue pocket out in Roanoke and Norfolk, etc. But the rest of the state is bright red. So it's great to see a headline that says Virginia Democrats fail to override Youngkin vetoes in effort to push gun control. So let's go there briefly and see what we're talking about here. Democrat lawmakers in Virginia picked vetoes by Governor Glenn Youngkin Wednesday to try to override, to try to override and push for gun control. The move was made during a reconvened session of the Virginia House of Delegates, and Democrats took aim at vetoed bills ranging from, get this, prohibiting the possession of semi-automatic firearms. Prohibiting the possession of semi-automatic firearms. What are we seeing move in Colorado right now? Bills to prohibit the possession of semi-automatic firearms. Their ultimate goal is to take every single semi-automatic you own out. Start with what? The low-hanging fruit, quote-unquote, assault weapons. To the banning of firearms on college campuses and hospitals. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's already legal to do that in Virginia. Have you heard a lot about problems in Virginia? You have not. But it doesn't matter to the Democrats. HB 1607 is a bill that they've been pushing in Virginia. And I had somebody in Virginia ask me, can you talk a little bit about this on air? But it would prohibit the importation, sale, manufacturing, purchasing, or transferring of what? Quote unquote, assault weapons. A term that gun rights activists, they like to say, advocates have long pointed out has no real definition, because it doesn't. It's the Democrats' definition of assault weapons that the media has picked up on. Now, I believe we talked about this last month, but Youngkin vetoed that bill last month. And that was not unexpected at all. But here is a guy by the name of Delegate Dan Helmer who regurgitated and vomited common Democrat lying rhetoric that every single gun you have in your safe is a weapon of war. Here's a quote from this clown. These firearms were designed for the battlefield, not for our streets. They are too terrified of Donald Trump to act. Too terrified of Donald Trump to act. Not quite sure how to read that. I could go a lot of different directions there. But a combat veteran, Nick Freitas, a combat vet and Green Beret, backed the veto of HB 1607, citing the Second Amendment, because he gets it. Now, it's interesting that Dan Helmer is also a veteran. I don't know anything about his background. I do know that Nick Freitas is a combat vet. He's a Green Beret. And he, of course, did back that veto by Youngkin. Here's what he had to say. The only people in this room terrified of something are apparently our Democrat colleagues of our own law-abiding citizens. Now, let's stop there briefly, because that is, in fact, what's going on. Or is it really? Are the Democrats afraid of law-abiding citizens who own guns they don't like? Is that why they push what they push? That's a conversation we could absolutely have for well longer than an hour. There's no doubt about that, because I don't think the Democrats are terrified of 150 million gun owners in America who overwhelmingly own semi-automatic firearms. Now, I understand the political statements behind that and the political rhetoric that goes along with that, et cetera, and it's great for him to make that point. I get it, but I don't think they're terrified of that. Or are they? See, here's the flip side. Are they terrified of law-abiding Americans with firearms, period? Yeah, of course. You see how we can flip that back and forth? There's politics involved here. There's a lot of different ways we could tear that apart. But let's just take his words as what they are. The only people in this room terrified of something are apparently our Democrat colleagues of our own law-abiding citizens. The reason why we have the Second Amendment is not because the founders got back from an especially rigorous hunting trip. I love this, because he's right. The reason why we have the Second Amendment is because our founders recognized that free citizens have to have the means to be able to provide for their own security. And let's go even a little bit further. Being able to provide for your own security also means being able to provide for your own defense against an overreaching government, which is what the Democrats want. So obviously, they are terrified of us with guns. Why? Because they're the ones pushing an overarching government that wants to control you. And you, as we've said for 16 years on this program, stand in their way. So you have to look at, are they terrified? Are they scared of us because we have guns, because they don't like guns? Or are they scared of us because we have guns, because they know they can't do everything they want to do? That's where we're going with, I believe that is what Nick Freitas meant. Because they're not scared of you having guns. They own guns. They're hypocrites. Look no further than Cory Booker and his boneheaded staff member just a few days ago who was busted on Capitol Hill as Cory Booker skirted him around security on the Hill because he knew he was armed. Now, personally, I believe there should be an investigation into that, and I think Booker should be held responsible for that as well because he knew what he was doing. But Booker, being a great liar, will lie his way out of that. They're not afraid of guns. They own guns themselves. They're afraid of guns in the hands of people who they know politically disagree with them because of their political agenda. Which, and again, I go back to this statement before. Remember, if the Democrats had won this election in November, folks, they'd have put their boot on your neck. You know it, I know it, and they know it. Now they're angry about it because, in fact, they lost. Current law prohibits in Virginia here the possession of firearms for people convicted of or facing restraining orders pertaining to domestic violence related to spouses or people they share children with. This is HB 1869. This was also vetoed by Youngkin, and Democrat colleagues are now speaking out about this. You know, any excuse they can come up with to take your guns, they're going to do it. Individuals convicted of felony assault and battery already automatically lose their firearms rights. That's what Youngkin had to say in a statement when he explained that veto, and he is right. individuals convicted of felony assault and battery already lose their firearm rights. This proposal, however, as Youngkin continues, and I quote, aims to extend the prohibition of firearm possession for misdemeanors beyond existing restrictions for family and household members. It would now encompass a vaguely defined category of intimate partners without an objective standard. Two additional vetoes selected by the Democrats included HB 1876 and HB 1977. Let me double check that. Don't want to give you bad information. It is HB 1977, which would ban firearms on Virginia's public college campuses and hospitals, respectively. When we come back, we'll see if we have Danielle from Patriot Mobile with us. And then at the bottom of the hour, Dave Workman from the Second Amendment Foundation will join us. We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the studios with me. This is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. This is the Patriot Mobile Mike. Danielle Buck from Patriot Mobile will be here at the bottom of the hour to the top of the hour. Welcome back to the 6 Hour Studios with me. I am Mark Walters, of course, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day, and it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. Great opportunity to tell you quickly. Please visit armedamericanradio.com to find all of our great partners over there, armedamericanradio.com. We've got Dave Workman on the line with us for one segment. Dave Workman at the Second Amendment Foundation offices in Bellevue, Washington. How you doing, my brother?
I'm okay.
Quick segment with you, so let's roll quickly. I'm just going to ask this question because it's a headline I saw. Are anti-gunners stubborn or brain dead?
Well, I think the vote right now is that they're both. But
I loved your headline on that. I couldn't wait to talk with you about that. You know, go ahead.
Point everybody to Ammo Land because that's where they can read it, and the comments too. The comments are still coming in.
Can I read any of the comments on the air? Sometimes you can't read them.
Well, hey, listen, man, it's your airwaves, not mine.
No, actually, it's the FCC's. I got to be a little careful. Let's see. Let's start with. I'm going to start with a comment, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great headline by Dave, which you would expect. Are anti-gunners stubborn or brain dead? Criminals ignore gun laws. You know, I was on 97.1 FM this morning for about 20 minutes with Mark Cox and Bo Matthews over there today, two talk radio legends, and we were talking about criminals and guns, and it, kind of had the same vibe going on. And sometimes it's not just the criminals, right? Are anti-gun or stubborn. I would say it's not criminals, but it's the people who think that they're going to follow the laws that fit that mold, as your headline so well points out. Let's read one of these comments, and I'll do it live on the fly. First off, I will go with stupid and stubborn or just plain evil. They cannot be perceived as brain dead because they keep thinking of new laws that have no effect on criminal behavior or the crime associated with them. If the gun control freaks cared about anything, Dave, they would be screaming at the prosecutors for plea bargaining down these firearm charges, especially for teenagers and felons. But no, they are victims of the white male patriarchy because we are white males who believe in the rule of law. And then the next one from Will says, I'm going to go ahead and vote brain dead. And ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the way the comments go. I would encourage you to go over and read it. But that's a spot-on comment, Dave.
Well, it just occurred to I was putting this thing together yesterday, maybe the night before. I can't remember when it was. My life is kind of a blur right now. But,
I get that. Trust me.
Yeah. I thought for a second, wait a minute, what's the one thing that I keep thinking about these people? Because they keep coming back for more with the same stuff. It's like playing the same record in the jukebox 97 times, thinking that maybe the melody is going to change. Yeah. That is the definition of insanity. And I figured, well, let's ask the readers. Frankly, the readers in Ammo Land have not failed me.
No, they never will. And you're not generally going to get an anti-gun response, right, from Ammo Land readers, which is a good thing because what you do get is when you look at some of these comments, ladies and gentlemen, you see common sense from people. The anti-gunners, I don't know that they can even begin to answer that question.
Well, they don't dare. First and foremost, a lot of them are brain dead, so they sit there, scratch their head, wondering, well, who's he talking about? Mm-hmm. And the rest of them are just plain wrong-headed, and they think, oh, he can't be talking about us because we're always right. Well, unfortunately, they're not. And I'm going to point people to a story that I just posted at thegunmag.com about gun legislation that they're debating here in Washington State, and yet there's a guy that just got arrested for a double homicide over in Seattle just this last Sunday morning. And he is the epitome of why gun laws don't work. This guy's a convicted felon. Mm-hmm. He's out on probation. He shows up at a hookah lounge down in South Seattle, and he shoots and kills two people. Now, first, he's a convicted felon. They're not supposed to have guns. Gun control laws are supposed to prevent this. Where'd he get that gun? Didn't
Well,
buy
I
it
think-
at Joe's gun shop.
I think the bigger question is, didn't he know he wasn't supposed to have a gun? Oh,
Well,
he did know.
duh.
Right. And therein lies the point. Okay, guys, we talk about this ad nauseum. We have to, because when we just went over what we went over, Dave, I was talking about Virginia and the Democrats going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, trying to override
are.
because they can't override Youngkin's vetoes on these ridiculous anti-gun laws that they put in place. You know, do they get it? Yeah, they get it. They do understand what they're doing. There's no question about it. You know, one of the questions was from let me go back to that because I think it's important, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, quite frankly. You had a Democrat by the name of Helmer. I guess his last name's Helmer.
Yeah, I know. He's a military veteran. I quoted him in the story I'm about to put up over at
Okay, good.
The Gun Mag. Yeah.
Yeah, see, you and I didn't talk about this in advance, ladies and gentlemen. This is on the fly.
No,
Dave is on top
I
of
had
this
no
stuff.
idea you were going to say this.
Right. I didn't know you were going to put that up over there either. But these firearms were designed for the battlefield, not for our streets. They are too terrified of Donald Trump to act. And then Nick Freitas, was it Nick Freitas? Nick Freitas,
Yeah.
Republican. He says the only people in this room terrified of something are apparently our Democrat colleagues of our own law-abiding citizens. And I asked kind of a double-bladed question here. Are they really terrified of us with guns? No. They're gun owners, too. See Cory Booker skirting a guy around the Capitol the other day to get him through security around it, right?
Yeah.
They're afraid of us having
So,
guns
see-
because of what our guns can do to stop their agenda, right?
Well, I'll tell you what they're really afraid of is that we have the ability to just say no.
Ah, thank you.
And
there you go.
boy, they don't like that. They do not like that. And April. This is April 19th, 1775. Remember that date? That was the date that they first tried gun control in this country. And guess what? We shot them. I mean, just.
It didn't work out very well, and of course,
No, it sort of it literally blew up in their faces.
the shot heard around the
And,
world, of course, is what you're referring
That's
to.
right, and that's it. That was the opening skirmish of the Revolutionary War, April 19th, 1775. We celebrate. This is like what the 100 or the 250th anniversary or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, 250th anniversary. 250 years ago this month, we told the King of Britain and all of his loyalists and all of these goobers that were running around trying to tell us what to do, game's over.
Yeah.
Bye.
No. You just made the point that you made earlier. They don't like us. We can say no, and that's what we said on April 19th. 1775, 250 years ago. So, hey, Dave, we're getting ready to take a break. I really appreciate you jumping in here quickly because our schedule got a little messed up today. So thank you. I love when your voice is heard. Where can people catch all your stuff real quick?
Okay, thegunmag.com, Liberty Park Press, ammoland.com, American Handgunner, Insider Online, it's online, Guns Magazine Insider Online, Guns Magazine Print Edition 2A Defense, and anywhere else you find my byline, just Google it up.
Dave is everywhere. He's my mom's favorite guest for many years for a reason. Dave Workman at the Second Amendment Foundation offices. Thank you, brother, for being here, and thanks for everything that you do. When we come back, Danielle Buck from Patriot Mobile is going to be here, and we're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff with Danielle. Don't go away.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
The real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Defense, DanielDefense.com. You can visit DanielDefense.com right now. Get on their email list at Daniel Defense. And when you do that, you see all the cool stuff and the promotions that come out. I still don't have the name yet of who won the promotion, but I hope it was one of you. I hope it was an Armed American Radio listener. 2 of you have won 2 of the 4 previous ones that we've participated in, and that's great to know. And you could possibly be a winner. The odds are, it ain't the Powerball odds, let me tell you that. Okay, it's in the thousands, not the hundreds of millions. You can visit DanielDefense.com. You can find all of our great partners, including Patriot Mobile at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Welcome back to 6 Hour Studios with me, Mark Walters, on the Patriot Mobile mic. And it's all being brought to you by X Insurance. Coming to us now, Danielle Buck from Patriot Mobile. And, Danielle, I love your title. I love your name. You have a cool name. It just rolls out.
Thank you.
Danielle Buck. It's
I
fun
have to thank my husband for that, right?
Well, it works. It just works. But you are the...
It does work.
It does.
Work.
It's kind of like that Danica Patrick. It just kind of rolls off the tongue. You are
Totally.
Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Patriot Mobile.
That's correct.
Tell us what does that mean?
Sure. So I know many of your listeners have heard about Patriot Mobile, but my job is actually to work with all the organizations that we partner with within our 4 pillars: First Amendment, Second Amendment, Life, and Veteran and First Responders. So I get to work hand in hand with these organizations to see the work that they're doing on a national level, obviously on a state level. Some of it's obviously legislative, some of it's like volunteer activists, as you probably are very well acquainted with. And then the other part of it is kind of, the events and the things that are happening in the communities and getting patriots who want to be part of those things around those events. And so every day is different, and it is really fun to get to see, coalitions form and actions actually happen. Obviously we can make our voices be heard on so many levels, and so just giving people sometimes an avenue to do that.
The activist, it's action actually being taken. And let me take an opportunity to read from the Patriot Mobile AAR site. Ladies and gentlemen,
Sure.
You can go there yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you already have patriotmobile.com/AAR. But this is what I love. With all of the companies I work with, honestly, I have never met a company with and they're all great. Don't get me wrong. They're all great. But Patriot Mobile stands out to me because of your activist work. Can I call it? I guess it's activist work, right?
Absolutely.
Not just gun rights. Take a listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. We offer broad coverage on dependable nationwide 4G or 5G networks. We're committed to providing our members dependable wireless service and exceptional support while relentlessly fighting for our shared values. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every single dollar earned to support organizations that fight for, and here's the crux: First Amendment freedom of speech and religion, Second Amendment right to bear arms, sanctity of life, and the needs of our veterans and first responders. And you guys wear that right on your sleeve. And as you just mentioned, you attend all these community functions. We were talking with Lee when she was at the event in Austin, Texas.
Austin,
right?
Yeah.
And guys, you brought buses into this stuff from throughout Texas.
Yeah, we actually did another one this past Tuesday in Austin as well. So it's Texas legislature only meets for the first 5 months every other year. And so it's like we got to make as much effectiveness as we can. Unfortunately, there's not a lot happening down there. So that's a point of frustration, obviously. But we can do our part to let people go down there and be like, hey, we have to get red flag law legislation passed, right? Anti-red flag law passed. We have to get some of these Kyle's law passed. I mean, there's a lot of really good legislation that's pending. And if people don't see people actually pushing it, unfortunately, the way the leadership works, that kind of prompts them. And so, yeah, we had that huge coalition last month. This month we did the same thing just 2 days ago. But obviously, outside of even, Second Amendment, there's all those other things that I know many of your listeners are like-minded with that we're doing as well. And, I think at the end of the day, people want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And I think that's what Patriot Mobile does. Because, yes, we are a cell phone company. We run on the exact same towers, right? If your phone works in the country now, your phone will work with Patriot Mobile. We have all 3 of the major networks. And that's not the issue. It tends to be like, oh, it's going to take time. It's going to be complicated. Well, it's not nearly as complicated as it ever used to be. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Technology, we can send you a QR code to get switched over. But I think it's people realizing, like, my dollars have a job, and they need to go
I
and
love
align
that.
with a company that aligns with my values.
I love
and
that.
because you know what? We vote every single month. I mean, most of us get paid twice a month, right? Most bills get paid once a month. Every single time a dollar goes out, it should be going towards a company that aligns with your values. And I promise you, you're not going to see a difference in the change of service. It may even be actually improved. I was on the phone, funny enough, with Jason and Brittany Aldean. We're sponsoring his full throttle tour this summer, and he has been had a Patriot Mobile line now for, I guess, like 8 months. And Brittany didn't have one yet. And she says there's been so many times that Jason's had better coverage because of Patriot Mobile than me. And I just thought it was hilarious because you don't hear that every day, right? Like, my service is going to be better by going to Patriot Mobile. So, yeah, I love it.
Well, you know Diana Muller.
Oh, of course. Very well. I talked to her
right.
2 days ago.
Yeah, Diana's great. I've been partnered up with Diana for many, many years. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on your devices, this is a Patriot Mobile phone right here. It's activated right here. Boom, there it is. And it was really simple to do. It was just a phone call. But I'm a huge advocate of that. Your dollars have to work. And I love the way you put that. I had never heard it put that way before. It's true. Your dollars have to work to fight for what we fight for, because that's what they understand is dollars, period.
That's right.
Right?
Well, and they've been doing it for years.
Well, they've been fighting
I think
against
that's
us.
where people on the right. Yeah, and they've been using our money.
Yeah, it's
I mean, this
disgusting.
has been going on for decades. And I think so many people are just now starting to wake up. You know, I think, the Target boycott with Bud Light, when was that, a year and a half ago? I think that probably woke up 20% of the population. And I'm so glad, but, like, we need more things like that in some ways to happen, because it's almost like it takes something really bad to happen for people to actually take action against it, which is really sad, versus, doing it because, oh my gosh, it really does matter. Because it does matter,
It does
I mean,
matter.
a portion of every dollar that we get from every cell phone we have goes toward these causes. The more customers we get, the more we give away. I mean, it really is a compounding thing, and the more difference that we can make. And I promise you, it's making a difference in so many people's lives. I mean, Diana Muller, her organization, we support them. We support National Association of Gun Rights, Women for Gun Rights, Gun Owners of America. I mean, you name it. Like, within the Second Amendment causes, there's so many. And then when you look at our military causes, I know many, many who support Second Amendment military. They often go hand in hand. And, I mean, my husband's former military, and I just think about, unfortunately, our government isn't fully taking care of our veterans. And so there are these amazing nonprofits that have stepped up to take care of their physical, their emotional, their mental needs. And what a joy it is to get to partner and actually cover some of that by our cell phone bill. I mean, you're still
Put your
paying
dollars to work.
that bill.
Right. You were talking
exactly.
about the service, and I've watched my phone shift. You can see when it goes to other towers. And that makes
Totally.
the service, believe it or not, stronger in those areas when it does that. What I was going to say about Diana was, I remember she was shooting a world championship shotgun match out in Taiwan, I believe it was. I think it was Taiwan.
Thailand.
Thailand.
Yep.
Taiwan, Thailand, Thai. It's all the same.
Same
right?
thing.
Jack Talk Thai. Right? I remember that from the movie. But everybody was using her phone because theirs didn't work.
Yeah.
And her Patriot Mobile phone was working in Thailand, and everybody was borrowing her phone. Her and I were laughing about that. When she says, do you have the phone switched over? I say, yeah, I've got one of my phones. I'm working on getting the other ones now. I got to pay off some other iPhones. But yeah, she said everybody was using my phones. Ladies and gentlemen, when you can put your dollar bills to work for you to support all of your causes, why wouldn't you? And we're getting ready to take a break, Danielle, but you mentioned Bud Light. I'm going to tell you a funny story about Bud Light when we come back from the break, just because you brought it up, and it happened to me just the other day. And, it is important, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to put your money towards causes you believe in. It's that simple, because those companies that you don't support use your money, or the companies you do support, unlike Patriot Mobile, any of the other carriers are using your money against you, and they do it every single day. Who do you think is funding some of these groups that we fight for or fight against and talk about every single day? Danielle, when we come back, I've got a funny story about Bud Light, and then we'll cook up something else to talk about, because we've got you for one more segment. I'm talking with Danielle Buck, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Patriot Mobile. We'll be right back.
This segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Daniel Defense. Visit DanielDefense.com. Now, back to the show.
Now, back to the show. Welcome back in. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day, Monday through Friday, in the 6 Hour Studios on the Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone, and Sundays bringing it to you. From the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. We love Patriot Mobile, guys. Make sure to go out of your way to visit all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Of course, it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. And as I said, we're in the 6 Hour Studios with you today. We're talking with Danielle Buck. She's the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships for Patriot Mobile. Danielle, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So I got just a quick story because you brought up the whole Bud Light thing, but I found myself in a Publix grocery store this past Saturday. Last Saturday, my son wanted to have a Louisiana crab boil, right? And I thought, that sounds really good. I hadn't done that in a while. The potatoes and the corn and the andouille sausage and all the great stuff and the crab and the lobster and shrimp. And while I was at the grocery store, I was like, what would go really good with this? A michelada. Now, you're in Texas. You know what a michelada is,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, my birthday's May 5th, so I'm a Cinco de Mayo kid. I know what a michelada is. And Modelo has one in a big 24-ounce can, so I kind of sauntered over to the beer aisle over there, and I looked, and there was no Modelo ones up there, but there were 2 Bud Light michelada cans, Bud Light cheladas. And I stood there, and I stared at them for a minute. I started talking to myself out loud in the grocery store. I said, no, I can't do that. I can't. People were looking at me. I went over, and I actually grabbed them, and I put them in my cart. And what did you just do? I pulled my cart back over. I took them out, and I put them back up on the shelf. And I had Clamato juice at home, so I made my own. But I bought some Modelo and made my own. And the reason I bring that up is because people think about these things. And I know listeners, Armed American Radio listeners, get it. When they hear you talk about, putting your money where it belongs. I never drank Bud Light anywhere. I'm not a big beer drinker, for the most part. Have one once a week or something like that. It's refreshing. But I'll never touch a Bud Light ever again, ever. Not that I ever did, but I never turned one down if I was at a tailgate or something over the years. Not anymore. And I think people get that. And I make that example because why would you continue to give your money to people who literally hate you?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
It's not any different in cell phone world, right?
No.
I mean, think about it. You're talking about a beer that you drink once a week. We carry our phones around with us everywhere we go, to work, to home. I mean, quite frankly, right, even to the restroom or wherever. Like, it doesn't leave our side. It doesn't leave our pocket. And so, I mean, it's so important because your dollars are being used for or against you. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing. And I promise you, like, as you know, because personal testimony and Diana Muller and many people, it works. It works great. And you're obviously supporting good causes. And it's funny, I was thinking over break about the Second Amendment and what it means to me personally. So I'm a young mom. I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old little boy. And the amount of times that I'm alone with my little boys, and I think about having a firearm and how that is the great equalizer for, I'm a small woman. Like, I'm never going to be big enough or faster or stronger than a man that approaches me or my children. But that gives me that. And I just think, like, so many people through the years have fought for that right. Yeah. And to think that there are now a large majority of the population, sad to say, that are against that because they have just believed this media narrative, which is just mind-blowing to me because I just feel like education obviously is so important, which is why, some of our partners do work on Second Amendment education because it's like they believe this whole crazy narrative after the last school shooting or whatever incident, right? And then this whole media spin. And I'm like, that is not the truth. More guns save people's lives than hurt people. Yes, bad people use guns to hurt people. But, the good stories outweigh the bad by and large. And we have to talk about that,
Well, because the media does not. That's been a basic premise of this show, as you know, we will be 16 years on
forever.
The airwaves on April 26th is our 16th year on the nation's airwaves talking about this. Because you never hear the other side from the mainstream press. And that's always fascinated me, Danielle, because someone using a firearm to save their life or the lives of their children. And I've lost count. I had one that I'll probably cover on Sunday's broadcast coming up of a kid who used a firearm to save his parents just the other day.
Amazing.
underage kids. It really is. But these are incredible human interest stories that never make the mainstream news. Can you imagine how firearms ownership would be viewed in America if ABC and NBC, so we could CBS, and MSDNC and CNN, LOL, actually told the truth on the news and why would you not lead a story? Why is that not news when a 14-year-old child takes on two armed attackers and defeats them, saving his baby infant sister and his parents? Why is that not plastered all over? What is it, do you think, that this is the political agenda that just trumps everything else, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I just got chills hearing that story because that's humanity. I mean, that's heroism. We should be applauding this young man and, applauding his parents who trained him in that way and saying, absolutely, we need to shout this from the rooftops. But unfortunately, we can only do that in the circles that we can do that. But we can do that. And now that I know the story, I want to go tell 10 people when I go to an event tonight. All of us can use our mouth. What's funny when you talk about media biases, actually, that's my first career. I was a news reporter for many years. A long time ago.
I can't wait to have you on when we have more time because that's been a big stick of mine as a media critic for 2 decades.
Story. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I did it. I was a broadcast journalism, did reporting and anchoring for years. And it is so true because it is from the top down. It's most of these reporters are just, going out to do what they have to do that day. They've been told by the news director or whoever. But yeah, the decisions up top to not share these stories, which obviously inspire people. And that's what makes me so sad is because I think I said this earlier, but people want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Right.
They want hope. They want encouragement. We all want that. We all need that. But yet why is the news only focused on one side? Well, because they have their own agenda. I mean, at the end of the day, right? That's the truth.
So I have to ask you this with the minute we have. I have to ask you this because you were in broadcast journalism. Tell me, it really truly is at the top down, isn't it? They actually tell their journalists, do not write that, don't they?
Yeah, they absolutely assign you the story in the morning. They review it before you go on the air, before it gets posted on the website, everything. I mean, it is absolutely decided by people above.
That's frightening stuff. We've only got a few seconds left before I hear we're going to have to take a break and call this hour quits. Tell people again, Patriot Mobile. We'll throw the patriotmobile.com/AAR out there, ladies and gentlemen. But you get a free month with Patriot Mobile using that promo code. Many of you have, and we need many of you more to do that. Please tell us quickly, 30 seconds.
It doesn't take long. Call 972-PATRIOT or go on the website like you just said, and I promise it will be worth your while. You'll see how easy it is to switch, how amazing your phone will work. And if you ever have to talk to customer service, out of line, go out of the country, you're talking to an American you can understand. I promise it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. It may take, 20 to 40 minutes of your time. But join Patriot Mobile. We'd love to have you.
We would love to have you, ladies and gentlemen. Danielle Buck, I'm looking forward to having you back on. There's so much more we could cover. The hour goes too quick. Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, patriotmobile.com/AAR. They literally fight for your right to bear arms. We love them, and they love you. Join them. I did. You can do the same thing. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is going to get up and do it again tomorrow, precisely because they don't want us telling you these things. So until we meet on the radio tomorrow, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow, guys.
All clear. Enjoy that beer.
All right, man. All right, guys. I'm going to cut this stream. Got a little bit of work to do on the side. And we'll see you on the radio mañana. Paul Markle, student of the gun, will be here. So enjoy your day. Stay safe out there, please. Don't believe any of the hype about the tariffs and everything else. It's all left-wing garbage. They're coming at you like crazy. It's going to be a rough summer, ladies and gentlemen, from a media standpoint. I can promise you that. Listen to none of it. None of it. They're all lying. See you tomorrow on the radio, guys. Enjoy your day. Stay safe.